crowd are cheering the Queenslanders, more or less daring them to come out. The New South Wales team already out on the field. There they are. Gary Jack, Big Pat Jarvis, Vice-Captain Wayne Pearce geeing up the troops. And aren't they ready for them too? New South Wales tonight trying to clinch this series against Queensland for the first time since the State of Origin began. And the boos, you can hear them all around the ground, and here's the reason. Out come the enemy. A huge crowd there on the Sydney Cricket Ground Hill on a beautiful evening in Sydney for the match of the year, the game which New South Wales can clinch and wrap up the State of Origin series for the first time since it began. There he is, the little Queensland halfback, Mark Murray, with a man-sized job in his hands tonight to contain Steve Mortimer, the man many people believe will be the captain of Australia, provided New South Wales can take this match out tonight. And there's the man, Wally Lewis, the king of Queensland Rugby League, and what a reception he gets. OK, the New South Wales team, number one, the fullback, Gary Jack. The wingers, Eric Graith and Johnny Ferguson. The match winner in the first State of Origin series match in Brisbane, Michael O'Connor, scored all our 18 points. Number 7, Stevie Mortimer, halfback and captain. Wayne Pearce, Peter Wynn, Noel Cleal, Stevie Roach, Pat Jarvis in the front row, and the hooker, little Benny Elias. Now let's have a look at the Queensland team. Number 1, the fullback, Colin Scott. Big Johnny Rebo had a good game on the wing up there in Brisbane. And Manly's Dale Shearer on the other wing. 2 huge centres in Meninga and Close. Wally Lewis, the key to the whole game as usual. Number 6, the 5'8" and captain. Mark Murray, the halfback. And the new forward in the team, Wally Fullerton-Smith, coming in for Big Paul McCabe of the Manly team. Number 9, Wally Fullerton-Smith. And that's the Queensland pack. The referee, well, they call the Queenslanders the Cane Toads tonight. We're the Cockroaches, and here's the Grasshopper, a real menagerie for you. The man they call the Grasshopper, the referee, Barry Gomersall from Queensland. Your commentator, Darryl Eastlake.
Thank you, Michael. Everything's set. Beautiful night in Sydney, about 14 degrees and a packed house at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Queensland have won the toss. New South Wales will kick off. The head-to-heads now. Queensland 8, New South Wales 4 in the series at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Queensland 2, New South Wales 1. Time on now, and round 2 of the battle continues of the Winfield series for the State of Origin. Ball goes deep, picked up by Colin Scott. Brought back 10 metres, 12 metres out and belted down by the New South Wales defence. Peter Wynn leading the charge there. Again, Wynn comes in pretty hard. Already a penalty goes to Queensland, though. Listen to the crowd. New South Wales inside the 5. Well, this man does incense crowds here in Sydney as Roberts does in Queensland. Lewis kicks for touch. The ground, a pitcher. Pressure right on Queensland. They must win this one to stay in the series. And New South Wales can wrap it up as Dowling comes forward hard. Jarvis comes in over the top. Tackled by Elias. Gets it back now to Dave Brown. Dave Brown in hard. Look at the tackles. Ferocious already. NSW turns it back inside to Dowling once again. No, that's Fullerton-Smith. That's the replacement second rower. Fullerton-Smith came into the side in place of Paul McCabe. Lewis already kicking, and he'll find touch too. That's a good one. Inside the 22. New South Wales into the ground. Well, Wally Lewis already has made his intentions clear. He's going to kick, and that's a beauty. This scrum will pack inside the 22, and Queensland have started well, Jack Gibson.
Well, we find out how they're going to start after this scrum situation, because the last couple of games, a little problem developed.
New South Wales, when there's a pack, waits for you. Away they come through Peter Wynn, the Blues. Big crowd right behind them tonight. Elias throws the dummy there and gives it to Jarvis. Look at this Queensland defence. A lot keener than it was a week ago. 3 of them hitting the Blues pretty hard. Back it goes for the clearing kick. That's a good one too. That's deep inside Queensland territory, taken by Rebo. And that's the mistake they were looking for. Rebo mishandles.
Well, that old Rebo couldn't find the handle of that ball, and it just squirted out.
Here's the kick now. Went down low to take it. Completely misread it. And that was the mistake that New South Wales were looking for. So this scrum now packed between the halfway and the quarter. Again, New South Wales win it. Gary Jack comes in from solid defence. Centre field, New South Wales. Peter Wynn. Taken by Bobby Lindner over the top. Back to Elias. Elias now gets it out to Steve Roach. He unloads. A quick ball taken by Elias. A wild pass back, pretty loose. Brett Kenny's there to pick it up. Kenny now turns it back inside to Jarvis. Jarvis, they keep it alive now. O'Connor gets it out to Mortimer. Mortimer gets it under Ferguson, but they wrap him up just outside the 22, 23 metres out. New South Wales on the attack. Mortimer puts a short ball up this time into Jarvis, and he's belted back with some big defence. Back to Elias now. Mortimer puts it in the air. Plenty of chases for New South Wales too. It's a good kick. Up they go for it and belted down, but a great take from Colin Scott. Took it well. Lots of pressure then. Queensland now have the football. This is Shearer out of one. Wrapped up by Pearce though. Rebo from dummy half. A little bit of room to move, but Elias is everywhere tonight. Cover defence is good. Canescu gets it to Murray. Murray onto Dowling. Dowling very wide tonight. Way out there with the centres. 4 tackles for Queensland. They go back for the clearing kick. This time it's Meninga. Towering punt, but Gary Jack perfectly positioned and takes it well too. He'll be tackled right on the halfway line with a big tackle. Bobby Lindner, one of the form players out of Brisbane. Nice pass down from Mortimer onto Pearce. Pearce runs into a brick wall and it's red. Just inside Queensland's half. Elias gets it on to Wynn, and there's a big run from Wynn. And look at the Queensland defence swarming all over him, trying to take the ball as well. Good start from both sides. They look confident. Rebo made probably the only mistake so far in the game. Good pass now from Mortimer, trying to set up the outside man as he gets it to Gary Jack. Loose ball low and it goes down, and Queensland will come up with it. Ian Maurice, good start from both sides.
As we expected, drama aplenty out there at the centre of the Sydney Cricket Ground. The tackles are just as fierce as they were at Lang Park. Chris Close playing it. Queensland in possession, no score, 5 minutes gone in this second State of Origin series. Right in the cricket pitch area of the Sydney Cricket Ground. It's to Murray, now to Lewis. And again, Lewis stabbing at that line, but a ball rebounding, picked up though by Dave Brown for Queensland. 6 more tackles signalled by referee Gomersall as Fullerton Smith will play the ball just inside New South Wales territory. Canescu working the ruck after Dowling. Running straight at the New South Wales defence on the fringe of the rucks. Back to Murray. Now Lewis. Back to Murray again. Every time Lewis gets the ball, the crowd comes alive. Now back to Lewis again. Again looking for the line. New South Wales getting a hand to it. Ferguson is able to fall on it. He's lost it, I think. Knocked back, said the referee. Ferguson plays it. Mortimer at dummy half makes another 5 metres before he's put down by Lindner. Elias down the blind side. Almost pushed in the touch. Got a pass back though for Ferguson. The Queensland defence desperately trying to push him over the touch line. Mortimer dummy half. Now back to Wynn. Straight into the arms of the Queensland defence. Fullerton Smith, the principal tackler. Now it's back for Chris Mortimer, kicking again for the second time. Rebo made a mess of it before. This time takes it okay, but he's inside his own quarter when he takes it. He's made 5, he's made 10, Rebo. Good run from the Queensland winger, taking play almost up to the halfway mark. No score in the State of Origin fixture. Close, running very, very strongly, straight into the New South Wales defence, just over the halfway mark now. Now it's back with Murray across for Lewis. On to Vorton, standing wide, slipping though in that very muddy area. Now Queensland work it out with Lindner, getting it back for Dowling. Still able to slip the ball away nicely for Johnny Rebo. Working play up towards the New South Wales quarter. Finally Canescu plays it to Lewis. Across it comes to Murray. Standing and offloading to Brown. Back to Lewis again. Queensland on the attack. The ball has gone out down to Lindner. Lindner down the touchline. Go, they bombed it. Queensland bombed it. Meninga had it and lost it. Well, a desperation tackle then from New South Wales, Jack Gibson.
Well, he fumbled the ball. He coughed it up, but I doubt if he could have got the thing down in time. But he certainly made a pretty smart run. That's when he got the ball to Meninga.
Well, Meninga certainly got very close to the line, but didn't take it. And it was bad hands that let Queensland down in the first match, but New South Wales get a penalty, infringement in the play the ball. So a relieving penalty for New South Wales, 32 metres out from their own line. No score in this State of Origin fixture. And Mortimer finding touch 10 metres short of the halfway mark. Benny Elias. Get away to Jarvis. He's to the halfway mark before he's put down by Dowling and Conescu. Now it's across to Wayne Pearce inside Queensland territory. Elias nowhere to pass it to. He faked to both sides and finally going on his own, put down by Vaughton. Cross to Mortimer. Kicking to the wide open spaces. Rebo's gone back for it with Scott. Rebo's got it, but he's 10 metres out from his own line and can't beat the tackle of Chris Mortimer. Big moment for this man, Terry Fernley, New South Wales and Australian coach. New South Wales win tonight. They wrap up the series for the first time. Now it's back with Murray and close. 32 metres out from the Queensland line. Kick from Queensland. Jack waiting for it. The bounce is awkward for him though. And he's finally 15 metres out from his own line. Can he beat the Queensland tacklers? No, he can't. Shearer's there with Dowling, but he's still able to slip that pass away to Ferguson. Ferguson's beaten one. Down the touchline goes Fergo, but he's caught though by Murray. Great run from the New South Wales winger Ferguson. Now it's with Cleal. New South Wales full of running now. 32 metres out. It's with Steve Mortimer. Across it goes to Kenny. A long floating pass for Grant, and he's juggling it. And just pulled down outside the Queensland corner. Steve Mortimer now to Jarvis, still able to keep the ball alive. Across to Kenny, now to O'Connor, inside Queensland's quarter. New South Wales desperately throwing the ball about from one side of the field to the other. Great entertaining stuff as Roach takes on the Queensland defence and is put down 12 metres out. New South Wales, Darryl, really throwing the ball about well.
Certainly are keeping it alive. Here's Mortimer putting it in the air now. Another good kick too. Up they go forward. And it's a New South Wales take. Look at Lewis, not happy with that, but it was a great take. It was Kenny that went up high, went above the pack, took it well, they put it up in the air again. Up they go again. It's a try. Chris Mortimer scored for the Blues, and that was on the second kick. Great football from the Blues. Oh, they're flying high, the Blues, and taking them out of the air. Here's the kick. Pinpoint accuracy. Up they went. It caught Queensland hopping the second one. They went high and Chris Mortimer grounds it for a New South Wales four-pointer.
Well, that was a combination of great plays leading up to the punt because they put plenty of pressure on Queensland and had them hanging in there. But all in all, to take the ball and get it down in that crucial time.
Chris Mortimer, a member of that famous footballing family. Well, it's that second kick, Jack, that caught them off guard.
Well, the big plays, there were several big plays there. Ferguson done something.
Michael O'Connor setting himself. Will come back to Jack Gibson after the kick. There it goes. And the flags are up. So the Blues lead 6-0 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Wally Lewis bringing it back for Queensland now in the restart. Well, a shock start by New South Wales have been full of running, keen to throw it around and put it in the air as well. Tactics have been to keep Queensland confused. Noel Cleal is going to put it straight back in the air again. So Terry Fernley doing very well with the tactics department at the moment as Colin Scott takes it for Queensland. He's taken by New South Wales midway between the half and the quarter. Good chase from New South Wales. And here's Lewis. He kicks again. Gary Jack, perfectly positioned though, will get it on the first bounce and does so. Just outside the 22 now, Jack. And he's through one, Gary Jack. Taken this time, though, midway between the quarter and the halfway line. New South Wales into the ground. Score 6-0 the Blues. Out it comes. Big Roach has had a great season, the Balmain prop. Benny Elias turns it back inside. Here's Pearce, full of running too, but crunched down by Meninga. Elias dummy half. Out they go again for the kick. This time it's Chris Mortimer that puts it in the air. Colin Scott positioned right on the spot. Inside the 22, and he's taken well by Kenny. By New South Wales are chasing well, Jack.
Well, it seems to be a game of field position. Queensland kicked several times. New South Wales have put it back to them. They want to play it up there around that 25 mark. Because if a mistake comes up, you haven't got that far to travel across the line.
You've always been a big fan of Brett Kenny, and he's explosive tonight.
Well, Brett's done a couple of great things. He's just done a couple of fine tackles too.
Gary Jack takes the Lewis kick. It was a high kick, and he's taken it almost to the halfway line, 10 metres short. Big defence from Wally Lewis. Out it comes to Mortimer. There's a little chip over the top. Mortimer will regain. He does so too and fights it out to Peter Wynn. Wynn puts on the pace. He unloads. It's interfered by Queensland. Taken by O'Connor. Oh, and a big heavy knock in from O'Connor as he rolled over. And the Queensland player certainly caught it. But New South Wales looks sensational with the ball. They want to run it. They want to score points. Out it goes again. Pearce floats one out wide. Gets it to Kenny. Kenny puts it in the second gear, but caught back on the fence. Gets it out to Eric Grove. Goes through one. But it's Lewis. He gets up and gets out of the tackle. And Rebo comes back and gets him inside the 22. Chris Mortimer now dummy half. Gets it to Elias. Elias puts a floater up for Kenny this time. Kenny sees a gap, unloads the ball again with Noel Clear with a short pass back to Elias. Well, this is great ball handling from New South Wales. Here's Peter Wynn. He's been involved early. On to Roach. Roach throws a dummy. Unloads a great ball to Pearce. It goes to Ferguson. Taken by Chris Close, though. Well, New South Wales have thrown everything at the maroon wall at the moment, and now they've got the football, Ian Maurice.
Gee, it's exciting stuff, isn't it? New South Wales look tremendous throwing that ball around. Queensland now via Shearer. Starting to run out, and Shearer's got to the quarter line. That's a good run from the winger. 6-0. New South Wales lead. It's Brown, a pass to no one. That's the difference. The Queensland passing is nowhere near as sure as the Blues. Now it's back with Lewis. Again trying to catch Jack out of position. By G's read the play well though, Jack. That bounce is a little tricky for him, but at least he was there for it. 10 metres out, the quarter line, before he's put down over the quarter line, in fact. Been played at a frantic pace this match. Now it's back with Ticka Ferguson. Out of one. But you sort of expect that with Ferguson, don't you, Jack?
Well, it takes more than one to get him. He really busts him up quick.
Takes more than one to get Mortimer too. A great run from Mortimer to take play inside Queensland territory. Jarvis to play the ball now. Mortimer again, linking up with Peter Wynn. And now they're only 32 metres out from the Queensland line as Elias runs from dummy half. He's in the clear, Elias! He's going to score! Right underneath the post, Benny Elias, you little beauty! Queensland just stood there and watched this fellow. He moved into the dummy half position. Watch it with us. Ran to the right. They just looked at him. A dummy. And lo and behold, the line was there for him. And right underneath the post, the hand goes up in salute. And Benny Elias goes in for the Blues' second try.
Well, Benny goes all the way here. He strolled it in. But probably Benny kept running straight and looking either side of him, and the defence looked where he was looking, but Benny was running a different direction to where he was looking. And his final destination was right under the sticks.
Well, the missed tackles department tells the story. Queensland have missed 9 tackles to the Blues 3. And that's probably why New South Wales have been able to score 2 tries. Here's the conversion attempt from O'Connor. No mistaking it. New South Wales go to a 12 points to 0 lead here at the SCG. Well, this is how simple it was. From the dummy half position, he ran to the right. The little dummy there, everybody bought it. And Elias was able to go and score what looked an easy try. New South Wales have returned the kick-off. Colin Scott has it. And can't beat the tackle of Wayne Pearce by G. He chased strongly, Pearce. 12-0, the Blues lead. This is Shearer. He's played strongly. He's beaten one. Got to the halfway mark now. Well, Queensland desperately need to score. They're looking at a 12-0 deficit. This is Rebo. Right on the halfway mark. Fullerton Smith. But Jack, they don't look organised, Queensland.
Well, they haven't had the ball that much, and they get and run around in defence, and I'll tell you what, they're pretty tired because they haven't had a spell of any description except when New South Wales scored and they got a little breather behind the goalpost.
It's a good example there. Dave Brown stood in that tackle and looked, and there was no runners. Now it's back with Dowling. He's kicking. Does anybody in this team not kick? I don't think Dowling does by the look of that kick. But New South Wales have it just on their corner line, back with Wayne Pearce, straight into the Queensland tacklers. Brown and Fullerton Smith. Now it's Elias, across for Roach, standing and offloading to Jarvis, and he's finally put down, but they're able to offload very nicely, the New South Wales players. It's back for Chris Mortimer, the kick. Colin Scott, where are you? He's chasing it. That's where he is. He's gone back to his own line to get it. In his in-goal area before he's able to pick that ball up. He's made 10, now linking up with Rebo to the quarter line. Rebo, and in the clear, Rebo. He's made 32. He's up to the halfway mark and put down. Fine run from Johnny Rebo. Playing the ball just inside the New South Wales half, across to Murray. Now looked to pass to Lewis, but decided for the little kick and has regathered nicely and able to offload back to Kinescu, but it's gone astray. Queensland have got a penalty. And the boos and a bit of a fight on in there, a bit of pushing and shoving, nothing very harmful. The touch judge, though, has come in to have a few words to the referee, but Darryl, I didn't think there was much in that.
Well, I really expected a lot more early in this game, Ian, but I think both sides have settled down pretty quickly. Dowling's pretty fiery at any given time, as Dave Brown and Roach. They're big men, and they've got big tempers, but they've controlled them pretty well. This man has been known to stand there and watch a little bit of a flare-up, but he's kept pretty good control tonight. Well, Queensland now have kicked for touch, and this is a good attacking chance for them. They'll be inside the 22. They need the points desperately. The score at the moment, New South Wales 12, Queensland 0. Right, Queensland with the football now on the run. Lewis puts a short pass up for Vaughton. Vaughton wrestled down those three defenders in there. And that's Roach, Cleal, and Jarvis comes up with the football. Well, the power in New South Wales pretty evident. Cleal will play it. Elias gets it out to Peter when he's run very strongly, and there's a shoulder charge came in, but he bounced out of that. Back to Mortimer. Mortimer weaves. Too much defence, takes the tackle, but he's bought play centre field, so he's given New South Wales chance to move, but it goes back to his brother Chris. He kicks down straight to Colin Scott. Midway between the half and the quarter as Scott brings it back. Tackle right on the halfway line.
Well, that Colin Scott caught the ball, but he certainly caught a couple of tough shots from Cleal and Pearce on that when he brought it up. But the crucial play then was Queensland on their first play spilled the ball. And what they're doing now, well, when they get into that situation, they've got to try and get New South Wales tackle count up a little bit.
Murray out to Meninga. Good pass on to Big Chris Close. He unloads it to Shearer. Shearer flicks it back to Murray. And this is going to be a Queensland try. Make no mistake, Bobby Linder under the post. And that was just keeping the ball alive. And it was man on man, and they won the race for the line. Good try from Queensland, and that's good stuff to fight back. Now it was this man, Chris Close. The power of him, he came out of Ferguson's tackle, managed to unload to Shearer. Shearer got it to Murray. Murray could see Jack come in. He caught him out, and only Kenny was there to chase him. He couldn't catch Bobby Lindner, and it's under the post for 4 points for Queensland. They're on the board.
Well, the big play here came from Chrissy Close. He broke a tackle, stood in it, making a couple extra yards, got the ball away. And it's probably simple stuff the next two. But Linda, who anticipated something happening, was the man that they were looking for.
The kick successful from Mal Meningo. So scoreline now reads New South Wales 12, Queensland 6. Well, we've got a ball game going in our hands now as O'Connor brings it back for New South Wales. Good try from Queensland. They're made of the right stuff. They've come back well. O'Connor drives it deep. Queensland bring it back through Scott. That'll help their confidence immensely, that try. Canescu dummy half. Out to Murray, onto Meninga. Meninga strong. Kenny wraps him up, though. Chris Mortimer there to help. Kenny was hurt early, and he's very slow to get up that time, too. Let's hope he's okay. He's running back all right into position, though. Meninga dummy half. Oh, dicey pass back for Fullerton Smith. And they're just outside the 22. Back it goes for the clearing kick. This time Vorton's going to kick. Well, just about every member of the Queensland side has put the ball in the air. Gary Jack will return it. Colin Scott has to run the cover. And just an awkward bounce, but Scott has got it. He decides they'll run it. Oh, a pretty dicey pass to Lewis. Lewis winds up, though. Lewis has made good ground, turns it back inside to Rebo. Rebo puts the shoulder down, unloads the ball, picked up by Murray. Rebo having a very, very strong game. A thinking wingers football he is tonight. Dowling with a nice ball, unloads to Fullerton Smith. It couldn't be taken. Mortimer comes up with it. Tackled 10 metres short of the halfway line. New South Wales into the ground. Score 12-6, New South Wales favour. Elias onto Roach. Roach bounces out of one with a big shoulder bang. And here's Jarvis. Jarvis throws a dummy, but he's wrapped up quickly by Lindner and also Vorton. Still short of the halfway line, New South Wales. So defensive Queensland holding pretty well. Mortimer now decides to run it to Kenny. Good pass. He gets it on to Pearce. Pearce out of one. Unloads it this time. Gets it to O'Connor. O'Connor steps back inside. Whew. Swinging arm from Murray. Chris Mortimer. New South Wales keen to run wide outside with a big man, Ian Maurice.
Yes, that's where they've been causing the problems. Last tackle is signalled, and it's back to Jack. A big kick from him, but it's out on the full. Well, they've been kicking all night, both sides, in fact, but Gary Jack making the error with that one. And so a scrum will be put down 10 metres inside the New South Wales half. 12-6. New South Wales lead. New South Wales get a penalty from the scrum, and it's against Murray, incorrectly feeding it.
Well, he's getting a better look on that referee. Got a few penalties out of him. He hasn't had much to do.
14 minutes remaining in this first half. And Elias will take the tap just inside Queensland's half. Away to Roach. Put down there by Canescu and Dowling. Now it's to Win. And a solid tackle. Fullerton Smith over the top and Dowling underneath. Elias. This time Queensland tackle him. Peter Wynn. To short of the quarter line. Game has been played at a frantic pace. Now it's back to Jarvis. Right on the Queensland quarter. Last tackle signalled. Colin Scott guarding the goal mouth area as Mortimer's bomb goes up. And Scott takes it quite nicely, jumping high, but not a lot of pressure under him on that occasion. And he'll play it 10 metres out from his own line. Fullerton Smith. Cadescu dummy half. Across to Meninga. Queensland defence moving up very quickly. Peter Wynn up there to take Cadescu before he could pass the ball. Now it's with Lewis again looking for that open space, but Jack was there to cover it. And Growth goes with him. Jack takes the tackle just short of the halfway mark in New South Wales territory. 12-6, the Blues lead. Growth. Across to Roach. Backing him up was Jarvis. Back to Elias. Across to Kenny. Pass has gone astray, picked up and knocked on by Ferguson. Trouble for New South Wales. Meninga sets sail for the line. He's got support. Oh, the pass has been knocked down. Well, Shearer went with Meninga, but I think you'll find there was a New South Wales hand just knocked that ball to ground. And by gee, it was just as well they did. Meninga was away, heard the call, and it was Ferguson, in fact, who got his hand to it, knocking it over the touchline. That's why Murray fed the scrum, and they've won it. It's gone with the feed. Scott's tackle, though, just outside the quarter line. Queensland looking quite dangerous on that occasion. Away to Lewis. A long pass out there for Close. Scott is down injured as Meninga goes to dummy half. Back to Vaughton. Queensland on the attack, just 15 metres out from the New South Wales line. 12-6, New South Wales lead. Here's Murray giving it to Lewis. Back inside for Dave Brown. And got something for his measure as he was caught by Wynn. Raiding away on the right-hand side now as Lewis got it away to Lindner. Played strongly, Lindner, but this time he's pulled over the touchline. New South Wales defence looking pretty strong, Jack.
Well, they're pretty strong there. It was probably worth a shot taking the blind on. But Close has left his man there. And a very important man for Queensland. That's their lock. He doesn't look too healthy to me.
Well, Colin Scott is down injured. He's the one that's causing concern. Just back over the corner line. You can see Lindner there in trouble as well. So Queensland have two men down. Lindner holding his thigh or knee. And Scott is still down, and he looks to be in trouble, Scott. He's been down for some time now. Lindner is down again, holding his knee, and in fact, the New South Wales trainer is out there treating the Queensland players. That's the situation here. You can see Alf Richards down there with Bob Lindner. Now Scott being loaded onto the stretcher. Now Scott was involved earlier, but this is Lindner being pushed over the touchline, twisting his knee, I would think, as he went over. And while he was down, the New South Wales trainer Alf Richards treated him, but Colin Scott, the fullback for Queensland, is being carried from the field on a stretcher. And this was the incident that resulted in him being carried off. He's been caught at a very awkward angle. And Colin Scott now being carried from the field in a lot of pain. Tony Curry has come on to replace Colin Scott. And New South Wales come away from the scrum with Eric Ferguson, Johnny Ferguson at least, taking the ball as Pearce is caught just outside the quarter line. It's 12-6 in an action-packed game, Darryl.
Well, Queensland won't lose too much with Tony Curry. He's a very, very good player, a versatile player. He's back in number 14, playing fullback in Scott's place. Let's come back to the ball game now as New South Wales clear for the kick, but Jack's made a mess of that one. He wasn't really expecting the ball then. And he has a look up too to say, that wasn't my one. Throws it down. Pat Jarvis gives him a little pat and says, don't worry about it. But this scrum now, an important one. inside the 22, and Queensland come away with it. Well, a chance for Queensland now. New South Wales rally their defence. Mark Murray will play it back to Dowling. Dowling clears it to Lewis. Lewis claps on the pace, unloads the ball to Vaughton. Vaughton now sweeps it out wide to Meninga, but he's caught straight away. Back to Dowling. Oh, and Ferguson's intercepted it again from Dowling. Well, Ferguson has been jolly on the spot tonight. Once he's saved a certain try, and that's twice that he's touched it, but the touch judges are in. Chris Mortimer being spoken to. Barry Gomersall is indicating it was a swinging arm. Let's have a look at this. There's the instance as he's tackled Dowling. Ferguson came away with the ball. Obviously the referee saw something there. Barry Gomersall, referee that loves to come down to Sydney, to the Sydney Cricket Ground, always gets a pretty hot reception. Kicks in play now. New South Wales 15, Queensland 12. There's been 20 kicks in 30 minutes of football. This kick very, very important from Meninga. Kicked 1 from 1. There's the angle for you, just outside the 22. There's not too much breeze to worry about tonight. He really only has to get the height and keep it straight. Taking a long time about it. Meninga hasn't had a lot of kicking practice in the last 12 months. Let's see if he's got his boots on tonight. Moves into it now. The crowd give him a reception, and the flags go up, and Queensland come back a bit closer. 12-8 the score now. New South Wales leading Queensland. Well, that gap's starting to creep down, and of course the last 5 minutes, we're 7 minutes out from half-time, Jack, and it's very, very important this next period of play.
Well, all times are important, Darryl, but probably with that Ferguson, I've just been watching him. The first defensive player on him usually comes up empty. He's nearly broke the line 2 or 3 occasions.
New South Wales kick off again. This time it's Dale Shearer that brings it back for Queensland. Just over 7 minutes from half-time. Scoreline 12 points to 8. New South Wales favour. Comes out to Fullerton Smith. A lot leaner than he was this time last year after he had a season in England. Dowling, always tough Dowling, brings it straight up and hard. Canescu comes back to Dave Brown. Centre field, midway between the quarter and a half, Queensland. They're into the ground. Canescu back for the clearing kick. Meninga decides they're going to run it. This is Tony Curry, the replacement player. He puts a good kick in. This is an excellent kick if he gets the bounce. Taken beautifully though by Eric Grove. He let it bounce and kept it covered all the way. He was taken by Chris Close. Back to Gary Jack. Too much defence. Fullerton Smith takes him well, and they're just outside the 22 by about 5 metres. Wayne Pearce. Benny Elias is dummy half. Back for the clearing kick. Chris Mortimer. Tony Curry coming across, but it'll be Johnny Rebo that'll take it. Rebo has a strong game. Curry's dropped back in support. Rebo comes the other way though, runs centre field. Is taken by Benny Elias. Back to Tony Curry. On to Wally Lewis. Lewis this time kicks for the open spaces, and it looks like a good one too. Rolling for the touchline and just beats Ferguson into touch. So that was a good kick, and Ian Maurice, they're well positioned again.
Yes, indeed. This man, Wally Lewis, has been seething over the criticism levelled at him by sections of the Sydney media, and he's out to convince everybody once and for all that he's a fine footballer. Not that I think sensible people need convincing of that. New South Wales have it 10 metres out from their own line. Gary Jack. 5 minutes to half-time. 12-8, New South Wales over Queensland, as Jarvis makes inroads into the Queensland defence and takes play up over the quarter line. Peter Wynn. Elias back for Chris Mortimer. Tony Curry waiting for it. Bounces off his chest backwards. And finally takes it 10 metres out from his own line. Now takes it to the quarter line before he's put down by Noel Cleal and Wayne Pearce. Shearer made 5 metres. Rebo come in from the wing on the far side looking for work. Very much involved in this game, John Rebo. Now Murray, 10 metres short of the halfway mark in Queensland territory. Dave Brown just about on the halfway mark. Des Morris watching intently, watching his side making a good comeback from 12-0 down to 12-8. Now it's back with Eric Groth. 3 Queensland players there to take Groth. Steve Mortimer. Back to Noel Cleal. Ran behind Mortimer and has been penalised. Yes, he ran behind Steve Mortimer and the referee has ruled that he's used him as a shield. Fair ruling, Jack?
That was a fair decision. He certainly propped up and he had a New South Wales player in front of him. He had inconvenienced the Queensland defensive player.
So that has given Queensland, via Mal Meninga, to put 2 more points on the board and get within 2 points of New South Wales. And this, if anything, is an easier kick than the one he was successful with before. Queensland trainer moving amongst his players as Meninga has it placed on the quarter line and just to the right of the right hand upright. Just a couple of paces. Watch it with us. There it is, and he's missed it. Wow, Mr. Inconsistency. Score remains 12-8, New South Wales over Queensland. And Steve Mortimer is asking some questions of the referee as Gary Jack takes the drop kick from the centre of the 22-metre mark down for Tony Curry. And a swinging arm from Roach. Goodness me. Has gone undetected. Now it's across to Murray. Nowhere to go there. Dropping the ball back for Fullerton Smith. Canescu linking up with Brown. Running off him was Borton. Now it's back for Meninga. A dummy, but he can't offload. Roach is there to hold him just inside Queensland territory. Back to Dowling. Just about a minute and a half of play remaining in this first half. Is Canescu with nowhere to go. A one-handed pass for Wally Lewis. Lewis is in the clear. Lewis is up to the corner line, looking for support. He throws the dummy, and he's just short of the line, Lewis. Fine run from the Queensland captain. Now desperation stuff for New South Wales as Queensland right away. And the referee has ruled a changeover. 6 tackles have gone. And that was a very near thing there for New South Wales. A fine run from Lewis. As Steve Mortimer, well, I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he's fatigued. He didn't appear to be hit or anything. He was certainly, there's some blood streaming from the cut forehead there, as you can see. But he's still well enough to give instructions to his side.
Well, Steve, he's doing a lot of mouthing off there. Often when that happens, your brain goes to sleep. But he's got cut here somewhere.
Now Alf Richards, who earlier was treating a Queensland player, attends to the New South Wales kept. He's still mouthing off too. Half-time approaches. And Mortimer plays it. Pearce. 10 metres out from his own line. 12-8, New South Wales lead as Groth got out on one. It can't beat the tackle of Canescu and Dowling. Now it's back for Roach to Jarvis. held by Fullerton, Smith and Borton. The half-time siren will sound at any second now as Mortimer has it across to Kenny. Kenny to the corner line before he's caught by Lindner. Last tackle signalled. Back to O'Connor. Half-time siren sounds as O'Connor's kick finds touch. And referee Gomersall blows half-time with the score. New South Wales 12, leading Queensland 8. And still Steve Mortimer is calling out for attention to a Queensland player who is in all sorts of agony. It's Bobby Lindner. Lindner is back in the New South Wales quarter, and he's in a lot of pain. Lewis is calling for the stretcher straight away. Dowling there with him. But it was Steve Mortimer, in fact, who drew attention to the fact that Lindner was in trouble. It told the referee as they were walking off. Jackie's had a fine game, Lindner. It would be a tragedy if he's going to go off and they've called for the stretcher.
Well, he's going to go off, and he's not going to go off under his own power. He's going in a canvas stretcher.
Well, Queensland have already lost Colin Scott, and now losing Bob Lindner at the half-time break with New South Wales 12 over Queensland 8.
But they better hurry themselves out because the opposition's coming out. Here's the New South Welshman, led out by Captain Courageous Stevie Mortimer. And your caller, Darryl Eastlake.
Thank you, Michael. As the New South Wales side come out now, fit and raring to go. Scoreline 12-8. The Blues in front. Brett Kenny, as always, just takes his time and walks out to the ground. Something that upset them in England when he played in the Challenge Cup final. They thought his attitude was wrong. But that's the way he does it, Jack, and you've seen him do that many, many times.
Well, the game hasn't started yet. I don't sort of evaluate a player how he gets into the football paddock.
Queensland coming out now. Let's have a look. Of course, the new lineup. Now, Wally Lewis copped a fairly big hit in the jaw, and he was bleeding from the mouth early. He was holding his jaw as he came out there. Johnny Rebo having a big game. Mark Murray. Now, French is on. French has come out in 15. Ian French, he's a versatile player. He can play in the pack at lock, or he'll move into second row. We'll have to see how it packs down. Maybe Fatty Vorton will lock the scrum as the game unfolds. But there he is, Ian French. He is the replacement for Bob Lindner, who has gone off just before half-time on the stretcher. And this fellow's a good footballer, don't worry about that. Tony Curry, the other replacement player that replaced Colin Scott at fullback. So Queensland in plenty of trouble. Just behind New South Wales, the scoreline 12-8. Everything in readiness. And remember, the test team is selected tonight. A lot of Queensland scalps, you could say, are on the rack. So all players are looking for a big performance, and Channel 9 will bring you all the action of the test series this year between Australia and New Zealand. The next game next Tuesday, the first of the test in Brisbane next Tuesday night. All the action on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Barry Gomersall, the Queensland referee, says everything is in readiness. Queensland kick off through Mal Meninga. Taken by Gary Jack, and he returns the kick. Now, this is something that New South Wales has done. Every time Queensland has kicked off, they have returned with another kick. Meninga brings it up. Interesting to note in defence too, New South Wales have made, this is the forwards now, 73 tackles. Queensland forwards, 57 tackles. That really does tell the story of the match. French, the replacement player with the football now, plays it back to Canescu. Canescu out to Murray. Murray gets it on to Dowling. Wrapped up by Wynn. He's been everywhere tonight. Wynn in defence. Canescu, short ball up for Vorton. Vorton looking for support and gets it in Chris Close too. He unloads a nice pass. Couldn't be taken by Curry, but it was taken very quickly by Canescu. Out it goes now to Dowling. Dowling on out wide to Meninga. Meninga shaping to pass. Gets the ball round the corner. Taken by Shearer. Not much room to move as he gets it back to French. They're inside the 22, Queensland. Meninga a dummy half to Lewis. Lewis puts it in the air. High kick and a good one too. Gary Jack underneath it. Flies high. Comes loose though. Rolling ball. Trouble. Ferguson dives on it for New South Wales and manages to stay in the field of play. Good play from Ferguson. Back for Pearce. Pearce decides to take the settler. Lewis then has copped another one in the jaw. And he's holding that jaw. Lewis is not well, but will stay with the football at the moment, with Jarvis in possession for New South Wales. Back to Elias. Elias now gets onto Roach. Roach gets a ball back to his Balmain support mate, who gets under a swinging arm from Brown, and Elias. Crowd saw that. Referee, and there's a punch up on and back play. And there was players ran into that too. It's Dowling and Roach, the two big men slugging it out.
Well, it looks like round one. I saw Mr. Gomersall move into the neutral corner, so he's not getting involved.
Two big figures too, Dowling and Roach. 5 minutes each in the sin bin. Barry Gomersall will tolerate none of that, so Roach is off. Dowling is off. 5 minutes in the sin bin, both players. Dowling going off. Two meaner men you wouldn't find. And there's Roach. Both been sent to the sin bin to cooler heels for 5 minutes. Right, let's come back to the football now as it's put back to Chris Mortimer for the clearing kick. Long, towering punt. Comes back to the 22, is taken by Rebo. Rebo been strong in the first half. Winds himself up, but Grove takes him. Slips the ball to Tony Curry. Curry gets it away back to Rebo. Good backing up from Queensland. Rebo out of one, still going, and takes play over the halfway line. Strong game from Rebo. He might have green and gold in his sights tonight the way he's playing. Mal Meninga gets on the loose ball and gets it up for Fullerton Smith. Running hard, Fullerton Smith, as he came onto the ball. Canescu to Dave Brown. Dave Brown, barrel straight and hard. Wrapped up though by Jarvis and also Wynn. Canescu dummy half, just settling the play down. They're almost to the 22. This is Murray. That's the 22 line you can see now. Canescu onto Lewis. Lewis with a long floating pass out for Curry. Wrapped up pretty quickly though. Back for Meninga. Again, they come hard for Fullerton Smithy, standing very deep and looking good, Jack.
He's playing all right, but Lewis has thrown those long passes. I wouldn't be surprised if Brett Kenny picks one off in a minute.
Chris Close winding up. Wrapped up by Jarvis, who has put in a great defensive play so far. That's the second changeover of the match. Goes out to Kenny. Kenny now looks out wide. Finds plenty of support out there too through O'Connor. Ferguson dummy half. New South Wales just grafting away. The pace of this game has slowed dramatically. The first half, it was a fierce pace. Elias, dummy half. Clears one for Noel Cleal. Been pretty quiet, Cleal. He's made some big bursts, but early in the first half. Kenny, big hit too on Kenny as he goes down hard. Fullerton Smith. Here's Wynn. Winds up, Lewis over the top. Canescu underneath. Gary Jack now at dummy half. Gets it out for Mortimer. Steve Mortimer kicks. Tony Curry is chasing the ball back, and he'll gather it in the in-goal area. And has just about brought it out in the field of play. And have a look at Elias. Elias has chased him all the way to bring him down there. He's having a whale of a game, Benny Elias. Rebo now, just about 7 metres out. Queensland in trouble. He needs some runners. This is the man, Mal Meninga. He winds up with the defence there. 3 New South Welshmen bring him down. Johnny Rebo, dummy half. Out they go to Vorton. Vorton straightens the attack up, slips a good ball away for Close. And Ian Maurice, they need to get down that into the field pretty quickly.
Well, they've come back from 12-0 to make it 12-8, but they've lost 2 players, and they don't have any fresh reserve left now. And this is one of those reserve players that has come on. French taking play to 32 metres out. Last tackle signal for Queensland. Back to Murray, now to Lewis. Still able to get that kick in, evading the tackle, and he's found touch too. Lovely kick from Wally Lewis. He's been hit pretty hard on several occasions and has been feeling his jaw several times, but that was a very fine kick from Wally Lewis. The scrum will go down 10 metres inside the New South Wales half. 12-8, the Blues lead. Queensland ball. Here's Lewis again. And a long floating pass for Meninga. Meninga trying to get the ball back inside. Lewis was there to pick up the dregs. Now it's Rebo at dummy half. Running from that position. Out of one. and still able to flick the pass away to Vaughton, keeping it alive. It's back to Konescu onto Murray. Murray spins it wide out to Shearer. Shearer's got it along the ground. It's picked up though by Murray. Well, Queensland certainly keeping this ball alive now. Still raiding away out to the right-hand side. Dave Brown coming back into the centre of the ruck. Playing it. This is Murray to Lewis. Run around with Murray. Caught though by Steve Mortimer. Just inside New South Wales quarter. Curry runs from dummy half. Look for the support as the players who have been in the sin bin for 5 minutes come back in. A bomb from Lewis. Pressure for Jack. Up he goes. Takes it. And takes it magnificently. He jumped high in the air with plenty of pressure. Immaculately. I guess we could call it an immaculate reception from Gary Jack. Jumped high. Took it beautifully. He's injured in doing so. Now, both players who were in the sin bin are back on the field as the bomb was pretty well placed. Roach is back. And that bomb was fairly well placed, and there was pressure for Jack. Chris Mortimer doing his part too, acting as a bit of a shield. By our stopwatches, those two players were only in the sin bin for 3 minutes. An early mark. Now back with Rebo. Oh, gee, he's played strongly tonight, Rebo. Taking play up towards the New South Wales quarter line. Across to Murray. Now to Vaughton. To Brown. Just inside the quarter now. 12-8 New South Wales lead Queensland. Switch of play. Fullerton Smith. 15 metres out from the New South Wales line. Back to Murray. Lewis. A little chip kick from Lewis. It's there for Curry, but he's not able to get to it. Gary Jack was able to pick it up and give it away to Eric Groth. Groth to the corner line. Back inside for O'Connor. Nice play from New South Wales. Now Noel Cleal. Leading off 1-2. Still going over the halfway mark now. Plenty of heavy work going in on Noel Cleal. Elias switches play with a pass to Roach. He's caught by French. Here come the Blues. Elias giving it to Wynn. Wynn's in the clear. Wynn to the quarter line. Running strongly New South Wales. Queensland look to be running out of puff a little. Out to Kenny. And linking up with Chris Mortimer. Desperation stuff though. Mortimer looked as if he was in. Close was able to grab him. There's the bomb. It may be a little deep, but only just. Gary Jack came racing through after it, but the kick was too big.
Well, probably the first time this half New South Wales had good field position on.
Here's Rebo playing it forward. I've never seen Rebo so involved as he is tonight. It's given it away to Murray. And this game, Darryl, has gone from one end of the field to the other. It's been terribly exciting, hasn't it?
Certainly has, and it's been entertaining football in the way that they've kicked the ball, as Lewis has done there, and the way they've then changed tactics and kept it alive by passing it. Gary Jack, another great game tonight, always in position. Took that beautiful take a little while ago. Ferguson just from dummy half. Terry Fernley, New South Wales coach, not breathing too happy yet. Noel Cleal now, cleaning up a scrappy ball. There's Des Morris also looking concerned. Nothing in this game as yet. Ball goes out wide now. New South Wales. The Growth couldn't take it. Rolls in a touch. Wally Lewis and Growth having a little chat. There's the pass. The idea was right, but it was just a little ill-directed. Scrum to feed by Queensland through Murray. Already put across is the verdict there, so the penalty has gone to New South Wales. Dave Brown, the offender. And Chris Mortimer now, the kick for touch for New South Wales. Penalties 4-3, Queensland's favour. Roach now takes the ball from Elias, winds up the big fella Roach, the determination written all over his face. Just reminding you, the Australian side will be picked tonight after this match for the first of the 3 test encounters against New Zealand next Tuesday in Brisbane. The first one, remembering that New Zealand beat us last time at Lang Park, so it's for the World Championship this year. Roach not happy with that decision as the referee says we'll have a scrum. You'll see it in the play of the ball, the reason why the scrum being packed. Elias picked it up. Well, it was a pretty sloppy play of the ball, Jack.
Well, he lost the damn thing if he hadn't been talking there. He was leading by the mouth.
We're saying with the football now. Lewis turns it inside for Chris Close. That's Tony Curry, wrapped up by a win. Elias again helping out in defence. By gee, he's been everywhere, Elias. He's chasing the ball. He's chasing the carriers all over the field. Dowling has to take the tackle of Pearce. Konescu feeds it out to Vaughton. Vaughton, of course, was doubtful whether he'd make this game as Konescu throws a loose one back to Pat Jarvis. He says, thank you, I'll take it. Out of Lewis's tackle too, Jarvis. And there's a bit of a blue going on in the back play again. That's our man Roach involved once again. He'll want to be careful. He's had one stint at 5 minutes in the bin as Kenny caught one in the head. A loose ball out from Elias, gets to Gary Jack. Trouble for Queensland here. Jack can unload, but he can't. Grove, the big man winds up, and look at him just belted out of the way, Eric Grove. Well, he came down at training with a couple of times on his knee. It's showing him no trouble tonight. Elias now weaves his magic. Had a look to unload, but decided to hang on to it. New South Wales have worked play midway between the half and the quarter. It goes back for the kick. Tony Curry takes it pretty well. Well, Grove has gone down. I mentioned he came down in training with knee trouble. Of course, it's an hour-and-hour proposition with Grove. But he's down at the moment after that big tackle. But here's Vaughton with the football. Vaughton was a doubtful starter too. It's been stolen by Jarvis. Well, Jarvis dropped a bit of ball in the first encounter. He's certainly getting plenty back tonight as Wing winds up. Gets it back to Steve Mortimer. Mortimer out to Cleal. Cleal gets a good ball up for Chris Mortimer. Chris Mortimer puts on the pace, but the Queensland defence shuts the door tight. Noel Cleal a dummy half. He's tapping him, saying, come on, let's go. Cleal from the dummy half. Can't go anywhere. New South Wales lined out very, very deep, but Queensland have the football. And referee Gomasella said we'll have a scrum. The ball has been put down. And New South Wales were lined out very deep, so the attacking chance went begging.
Well, if he says you've got to have a scrum, you've got to believe him.
Queensland to feed. They win it 2 through Murray. Came straight in and out. 12 metres out from their line, Queensland. Scoreline once again, 12-8. New South Wales' favour. Comes on to Lewis. Lewis runs back into trouble and over the top. They hit him pretty hard too with Wynn. Konescu, Fullerton Smith. They've grafted their way almost to the 22 now. This is Meninga. Meninga with a bit of room to move. Can he unload it? No, he can't. Defence too good. Again, they ride away on the open side. Bit of room this time, but Shearer puts his boot to it. It could be a good kick. It's a great kick from Shearer. Had little time, a little room to move, and has found touch way down deep inside New South Wales 22, Ian Maurice.
Boy, they talked about taking the pressure on Lewis by letting other people kick. How long Shearer been kicking like that? Beautiful kick. So a scrum down now, 15 metres out from the New South Wales line. The Blues lead 12-8, but Queensland certainly playing strongly now. Here's Shearer, 10 metres out. He's caught. I want to play it quickly. Vaughton's gone from dummy half. 27 minutes of this match remaining. Back with Lewis. And a beautiful tackle on Murray there by Kenny. Picked up by Lewis. The Meninga. Back to Lewis. Back to Brown. Brown is only about 8 metres out from the New South Wales line. Danger time now. It's with Dowling. Dowling going on his own, flicking the ball back inside for French. And French is there. Queensland has scored. Well, that's a fine try. Excellent performance from Queensland. They kept that ball alive beautifully. And Ian French was right on the spot to back up Dowling. Dowling went on his own. I thought he might have gone too far, but a beautiful flick pass from Dowling, beautifully taken too by French, who was able to score. The referee right on the spot scores a level, Jack.
Well, certainly a confident play from Dowling. He's done some great plays over the years, but this one was probably one of his best. He held that ball up and got an inside shot, around the corner pass, straight into French's hands. It was Dowling's try.
Well, that man there came on at half-time, or in the second half at least, to replace Bobby Linder, who along with Colin Scott was taken from the field on a stretcher. The report from the room is that they are both being examined for knee injuries, possible cartilage damage. And Queensland hooker Kinescu was able to win a scrum against the feed, resulting in that try. Scores a level, 12 all, pressure kick for Mal Meninga. This could put Queensland in front. It's there! Queensland hit the front! Queensland 14, New South Wales 12 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. This has been a fine performance from Queensland, Jack.
Well, Meninga made the kick there, but he didn't start favourite when he was lining up. He was a little nervous, but he got it across.
So O'Connor restarts now. New South Wales trailing by 2. And Queensland playing with a ton of confidence now. Just outside their own quarter. Back with Murray and Dowling. Now Brown, 32 metres out from his own line. Back for Meninga. Jack's there. Eric Growth in possession for the Blues, 14-12, Queensland lead. And Growth taking plenty of punishment, 32 metres out from his own line. Back to Gary Jack. Well, this has been an absorbing contest. Now blindside for Pearce. Close in there to make the tackle. Back for Chris Mortimer. Curry is back for it, so is Shearer. And it's Shearer who takes it. And beautifully upended too by Brett Kenny. He's pulled up some beautiful tackles tonight, Kenny. Now Curry giving it away to Meninga. Trying to get around Ferguson. And Fergo holds him. To Murray. Murray to the halfway marker. Pass back inside for Rebo. Hey, Rebo, Darryl Eastlake has followed the ball around all night.
Yeah, he's been like a drover's dog, hasn't he? He's been sort of everywhere the ball's been, and I said he's got green and gold in his sights. I think I'm right. Lewis now has got the line in his sights, and he finds it too with a great kick. Well, the master has come back with some confidence now. Had a look, plenty of open spaces, and said, I'll have that. There's the kick. Nobody at home. Finds the line. Possession held in the second half. New South Wales for 28 tackles. Queensland for 47 tackles. So it's a funny game, rugby league. New South Wales looked set for this one in the first half. 12-0 they had a lead. Now Queensland in front. 14 points to 12. The Blues with the ball. Roach. 10 metres short of the halfway line is Roach. Back for Elias. Goes to Steve Mortimer, but New South Wales aren't running onto the ball as hard as they were in the first half, Jack.
Well, they haven't had quite as much of it, but I don't think either side have slackened at all. But I've got my doubts whether Queensland can hang on to this lead for the duration of the game, I do feel that New South Wales will be in better shape than they've had much. Queensland to do more defence than New South Wales, and that takes a lot of energy.
Queensland with the ball now. Shearer had a fine game too tonight. Shearer he's tackled well, kicked well, but he's lost the ball there. Rakes it back. Canescu going into dummy half. Barry Gomersall coming across. He's going to decide who's got the ball. He says Queensland, 6 to go. Crowd don't like it. Queensland love it. Look at this New South Wales defence now. Swarming in on Dowling. Canescu finds a runner in Dave Brown. Dave Brown, can he unload? No, he can't. Roach underneath him. Lewis turns it back for Fullerton Smith. Fullerton Smith out of one, but they wrap him up, ball and all. And they're just inside New South Wales half now, the Queensland. Canescu out to Murray. On to Lewis. Lewis with a long pass out. Has to be juggled by Curry. Gives the defence time to come in, but they held off, and he unloads again to Lewis. Lewis flicks it to Vaughton. Vaughton juggles it. Sees a gap. Puts a beautiful ball up. Couldn't be taken by Murray, though. And New South Wales have the ball. This is Wayne Pearce. Just short of the halfway line as New South Wales. Trailing by 2 points. Kenny sets up Chris Mortimer. Onto O'Connor. O'Connor trying to get the hands free, but a good tackle from Wally Lewis. Ferguson now. Ferguson out of one. Does a bit of a dance, Ferguson. Out of two. Out of three. He's still going, Ferguson, and gets a good ball up for Pearce. And back to Ferguson. Now the little man opens up. Turns it back inside. And they head for the line, New South Wales. And good defence from Queensland. Bring them down 10 metres short. The Blues on fire at the moment. They've got Queensland stretched out. Well, there's a penalty in New South Wales because they wouldn't let him play it. Chris Close held him down. Grove tried to get up quickly and play it. And I think they would have rather had the ball, Jack. They were on fire then.
I think I'd held him down myself. But Fergo put the big play on there. He split him up. He embarrassed a lot of defensive players on this run.
Great player. Doesn't need much room to move. Look at the way he backs up too. Turn it back inside the Grove. Now Grove put the power on. There's Chris Close. Came at him. Wrapped him up. Now this is where the penalty was awarded. He tried to get up to play the ball and they held him down.
Well, he was long enough to give 2 penalties. I think Queensland needed the spell. Their chance of kicking the goal is probably a 2 or 3 to 1 chance. They're right on the sideline. So the little breather Queensland will get probably be more benefit to them. Even if he kicks it, it can't put him in front. It will just make it a tie.
Well, professional foul is something we're seeing coming into rugby league more and more, and the referee's right on it too, rightly so. O'Connor now, almost from the junction of the 22 on the touchline. A pressure kick for him. He can level the scores with this one. In it goes. It's got the height. Has it got the distance? No, waved away. So Queensland remain in front, 14 points to 12. Curry plays it back to Lewis. On to Meninga. He's belted back 10 metres out from the line. Steve Ella coming out to the sideline, I notice now. We've been waiting for a long time to see Ella get a run on this New South Wales side. Dowling will play it back. Listen to the reception that Ella's getting from the crowd. The Shearer runs away for Queensland. Takes it to the 22. Play it back to Canescu. Canescu back for the kick. No one at home. No one wanted it. They've got to trace back and scramble to get it. Well, and New South Wales missing. They lose the ball now. Well, New South Wales in possession through Chris Mortimer. Just a couple of metres out. That's the line you can see. And he's trying to struggle over. He gets up and plays it back. Out it comes. Onto Roach. Roach belting his way forward, but they've got him wrapped up. French and Lewis, the tacklers. They're only 3 metres out. Growth clears it out quickly to Mortimer. Mortimer throws a long floating pass out. It's picked up by Pearce. Pearce brings it up. Winds up now, Pearce. Oh, and just an ankle tap from Canescu brings him down. 3 tackles used up by New South Wales. Elias now gets it out to Mortimer. Mortimer looking for runners. Here's Cleel. Cleel bounces out of one. He's got Gary Judd. Gary Judd can see the line open up. Flicks the ball back, but it can't be taken. And Ferguson loses it, but it's Kenny that's onto it. Well, it's all drama at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Chances being bombed by both sides. Kenny will play it back 10 metres out now. Here's Ferguson. Ferguson winds up, but he's belted down by Fullerton, Smith and Lewis. Sets himself now. Elias looking for Roach. He can't get the ball away. Vaughton wrapped it up. Ball and all. 3 tackles used up. Elias now gets it to Mortimer. Mortimer out to Kenny. But the defence is there. 4 tackles used. Kenny trying to play it. They're laying on him again through Chris Close. Mortimer puts a little chip kick through. Well bounced, and he's been brought down. A penalty to New South Wales, and that's fair given too. Penalty has gone. Mortimer belted after he kicked the ball. Here it is. Here's Mortimer now. Chip kicks. The idea was there, and bang, there it goes. Crunch, he goes down hard, and that's a sitter now for New South Wales, Ian Maurice.
Oh, boy, they need a break. We need a break, Jack. It's fantastic football, isn't it?
Well, Mortimer went down. I think he went down soft, but he made it look hard. But he got what he's looking for. 2-shot at goal right in front.
Well, this shot for O'Connor from right in front to level the scores again.
I think that old Steve would have went down whether he's hit or not, just in case.
No problems for O'Connor. We're all tied up at the cricket ground, 14 points all. Well, this game has been a real thriller for the crowd that has come out in their thousands. And I must say that the support that this series has been given by New South Wales fans is very heartening. For years we've seen the Lang Park crowd urging their side on, and how sweet it is to see the Sydney-siders turn up and barrack for the Blues.
Well, for Queensland to survive that onslaught by only giving away 2 points, I think they were pretty lucky. New South Wales had several opportunities to cross the line. Some bodies went over there, but the ball didn't. They got 2 points with that penalty.
So Lewis restarts. Down for Gary Jack. Returning the kick straight away. We've seen that so often. Curry's back for it. And beautifully taken again by Brett Kenny. Gee, he's made some beautiful tackles. Here's Meninga with a big don't argue for Kenny on that occasion. And Meninga finally pulled down just 9 metres short of the halfway mark in Queensland territory. Back to Lewis. Now Murray. Murray taken. 5 metres short of halfway. John Rebo, dummy half, back for Vaughton. He's going to kick. And that one sends Gary Jack racing back towards his own line. Comes to French, brushes off French, but put down by Vaughton. Now Ferguson trying to weave through, and he's done it again, Fergo! Straight up the middle he goes. Finally caught by Lewis. Just desperation struck from Lewis to bring Ferguson down, but here come the Blues again. Peter Wynn right on the halfway mark. 14 points all here at the cricket ground. Now Steve Mortimer linking up with Wayne Pearce. Pearce gives a pass to Growth. Growth, it pushes everybody out of the way. Still going Growth. Back inside, put a foot in touch. Put a foot in touch. Jarvis was there for the pass, but the linesman right on the spot put his flag up.
Well, the attack was great here, but the defence of Vaughton on that occasion to cover all those yards and to stop that try was sensational.
Well, here it is, and you watch him if he puts his foot in touch. And, well, he got rid of it before he threw it out. And the crowd watching the replay with us let the touch judge know what they think of that decision. But it was made without the benefit of that head-on shot. He did what he thought he had to do. And from the scrum, Queensland have it. So the score remains 14 points all. Now it's with Lewis. Now to Dowling. And you can hear the crowd giving vent to their feelings. That used to be the Lang Park chant. Lewis has it just short of the quarter line. Murray gives it across to French. Still going French. Played pretty strongly since he came on in the second half.
He certainly has, but I think that line umpire is going to be showing that replay a few times.
And 6 tackles ruled, and the changeover has been given to New South Wales as Terry Fernley grinds his teeth and Des Morris does the same. 14 points all. What a game of football, Darryl.
Fantastic game of football. Oh, dear. Well, the huge crowd here glued to their seats as Gary Jack comes onto the ball hard and is taken high by Rebo. He'll play it back to Peter Wynn. Wynn now has Jarvis hard and strong onto the ball, but the defence too strong. They wrap him up. Jarvis has played very well tonight. Back to Wynn. Wynn looking to gallop into the open spaces, but there wasn't too much support there that time. They're 12 metres out from the Queensland line. It's 14 at all. Watch for a field goal. Locked all. 14 all. Back they come. There'll be a field goal here. There it is. Follow it. That's there. It's there. New South Wales have kicked it. Michael O'Connor has put New South Wales in front, 15 points to 14 with a field goal. Well, it was written all over the play. It had to happen. The crowd have gone up. O'Connor has done it again. Well, they could have sent a telegram to Queensland. It was on. They all dropped back. There it is. O'Connor had no pressure on him. And his Union days, well, they came through again with a beautiful field kick. So the pressure back on Queensland. New South Wales just 1 point the difference. 15-14. Jack Gibson.
Well, I feel if New South Wales are prepared to run the ball in the 5th to 6th play, there might be more yardage in it than the kick, because Queensland on their last play sent a lot of defensive players back there. There must be a lot of vacancies.
Well, Queensland with the football now. Shearer puts the ball up in the air. Can he regather? Well, he does. Wasn't the way he hoped to do it, but he's got the football back. Dowling now says, come on, let's play it. Fullerton Smith gets it out to Dave Brown, onto Lewis, onto Vaughton. Vaughton claps the pace on, looks for support, it wasn't there. Meninga. Oh, Lewis off his fingertips, then gets it back to Meninga. Meninga gets it onto Fullerton Smith. Fullerton Smith starts to gallop out, but cut down by Steve Mortimer, right round the ankles with a great tackle. Dowling onto Murray, onto Lewis. Lewis turns it back inside to French. French now gives it to Rebo. Rebo goes without it. It's dived on by Murray. Referee says play on. Crowd not happy with that one. Back to Canescu, onto Lewis, turns it back inside. This is French. French opens up and he's only metres short, French. And Queensland put the attack on. Now will they go for a field goal or go for the 4 points? It goes to Lewis. He goes for the field goal. It's charged down. And New South Wales have come away with it. To the crowd as little Steve Mortimer comes away with a football. And still they pour through with Brett Kenny. A player down from Queensland, flat on his back. Will stay with the football though as Wynn now unloads to Growth. Growth winds up. Close is there. Lewis is there. Lewis has been everywhere in defence in the last 10 minutes. Queensland player still down, but Roach comes away with it. 1 point the difference. Lewis tried for a field goal, was charged down. Elias gets it onto Jarvis. They've taken play 10 metres Queensland side of the halfway. It was Dowling that was down, but he's back in the play and running back onside. There's the little kick for the line. Oh, it's hit the corner post. How close. Steve Mortimer still having plenty to say. Watch the kick. Bang, right on the quarter post. Well, Steve Ella is on. Gary Jack is off. Steve Ella is gone back to fullback. Gary Jack is off in all that excitement. Queensland now with the football. Murray. Murray gets it to Dave Brown. Turns it back to Murray. Murray dancing, looking for an opening. Not there, though. Elias smothers him. Comes back to Lewis on the Vaughton. Vaughton trying to just get that little bust. He's lost the football though, and New South Wales have it. 7.5 minutes left for play. New South Wales with the football. 1 point the difference in a fantastic game of rugby league. Kenny dummies. Tries to unload but couldn't. Vaughton everywhere. Ferguson on a run around with Wynn. Opens up at this time. They crunch him down. 3 tackles used up by New South Wales. They're right on the 22. Back for Mortimer. Gets it on to Roach. Roach tries to put one out the back door. It's taken by Dowling. He's flung to the ground by Jarvis. onto Murray. Murray now flicks it back for Shearer. Queensland need to get it down there quickly in New South Wales 22. Lewis now kicks. There's plenty of open space. Can he find the line again? No, not this time. Ferguson comes back to clean it up. Picks it up on the trot. And takes the tackle. And look at the chaser again, Wally Lewis. Ferguson's cramped. Can't get up to play it. And Wally Lewis is in there helping with the cramp. Well, that's what rugby league to me is all about. They've battled all night. There's 1 point the difference. Ferguson goes down injured, and Wally Lewis is the man that helps him. Jack Gibson.
Well, Wally Lewis is tough enough to be able to do that. Not many people could.
Great competitor, Wally Lewis. Liam Maurice, Ferguson has had another very, very strong game, and wasn't it great to see? Isn't that what sport's all about?
Sure is, and I think Wally Lewis might have won plenty of fans out here because he got a very strong round of applause after helping Fergo. A lot of the fans came out here to boo Wally, but he's turned that around. Very sporting gesture from a great champion. Now, we have Pat Jarvis in the centre of the mud heap. Here comes Roach. New South Wales lead by 15 to 14. 6 minutes of play remaining. Here's Noel Cleal. Offloading to Elias. Still able to offload to Peter Wynn. Across to Mortimer. To Kenny. He's had a strong game, Kenny. Back inside to O'Connor. Running right across the field, able to push off a couple of tackles, but not Lewis. Lewis took him in a copybook tackle right around the ankles. Last tackle signal for New South Wales. And 6 tackles resumed again as Queensland deliberately played at the ball and touched it. Here comes Mortimer. Mortimer to the corner line, looks for support. Got him back inside to the zip man. Ella still going. 5 metres out from the Queensland line. Steve Ella to play it. Ferguson is dummy half. Away it goes to Roach. Able to slip the pass to Jarvis. Running around in circles, going the wrong way. Able to link up again with Ferguson. 5 minutes to go as Vaughton takes him. Across to Jarvis. Jarvis to the 10-metre mark. 10 metres from the Queensland line. New South Wales lead by 15 to 14. Here's Elias. Showing it to Cleal. And Crusher caught and held by Lewis and Murray. And Dowling underneath, 5 metres out. Last tackle. Back to Ella. The kick from Ella. Across field for Growth. Growth goes for it, but over the touching goal line. The kick from Ella was out there for Growth, who came charging through, but touched by Rebo. And it's gone touch in goal. Put out there by Queensland, so it'll be a drop kick from the goal line. Meninga's doing just that. Back to the halfway mark. Steve Ella's there for it. 15 to 14, the Blues lead. We're about 4 minutes away from New South Wales wrapping up this State of Origin series. Here's Kenny. Kenny shows it one way, the overhead pass for Growth. Growth out of Lewis's tackle. Still going, Growth. 8 metres out. Mortimer across to Wynn. Lewis is down in agony as Wynn barges up the line. He's about 1.5 metres short. Elias at dummy half. Across to Mortimer. Long pass for Crusher. Cleal saw the line, tries to get there, but held. 2 metres out, loses the ball. Referee Gomasal is putting a scrum down. Cleal says, I didn't drop it, sir. So a scrum. 8 metres out. Can New South Wales hold on for this 1-point win? As Murray is down, injured in the in-goal area. A lot of good players out there tonight, Jack.
I haven't seen any weak ones. It's only been a performance from both sides.
I think we've got to pay a lot of tribute to the Queensland side. They were down 12-0. They lost 2 players, Lindner and Colin Scott. So they'd used their 2 reserves at the half-time break. So they knew that for the last 40 minutes they'd have to battle on without any fresh players. Now it's a New South Wales scrum win. Mortimer has it. Now Wynn. Floating pass out there for Kenny. Able to get it back to Cleal. Across to Ella. Going back the other way now. And put down 10 metres out. New South Wales a 1-point lead. Here's Elias. Back to Ella. Linking up with Roach. Passing it to John Rebo for Queensland. So there's less than 3 minutes of play. Now Queensland have got to get this ball down the other end of the field to at least give them a position to attempt a field goal. It's with Murray. Now it's with Lewis. Now Meninga. And now Shearer. And Shearer's able to make headway as he puts his boot to the ball. And it's going to go out on the full. Well, Shearer put in a beautiful kick before, but under pressure, that wasn't so good.
Well, Queensland, I think they're just too tired to carry it down there. It's a long way to go. They've got a scrum on the 20-metre line. And they've got over 80 yards of tough grass in front of them.
And the New South Wales feed as well. 15-14. New South Wales lead. Mortimer picks it up at the scrum base. Takes the tackle of Borton. Very slow up to his feet, Steve Mortimer. Now Wayne Pearce. Just use up the tackles now, I reckon, Jack.
Well, they got to run from dummy half and just march it down there. And they put a kick up and take the punt on that. And they're delaying the clock now. They play it very slow.
Here's Cleal. Cleal so close to the line. 3 metres short. Just moments away from an historic State of Origin Series win. Here's Kenny. Kenny's on the line. And he's there. Kenny is in. Well, Kenny has capped a great game by touching down and sealing an historic New South Wales victory. Here it is. This is how Kenny did it. A dummy, got around those Queensland defenders, saw the line stretched out and just planted the ball down.
That was a great effort there. He stood Wally Lewis up. Well, Wally's he's not healthy at all. He's crook. He reached out at full length, and all he had to do was just put it over.
And look at Steve Mortimer. Ecstasy, pure heaven.
Still doing a lot of talking, that Steve. I think he could talk out of both sides of his mouth at the same time.
Underwater. Now O'Connor to put the icing on the cake. It's already 19-14, and that's the angle he has to shoot from. Michael O'Connor makes no mistakes. New South Wales 21 over Queensland 14 in the dying moments of this State of Origins match. And there it is. There it is. Referee Gomersall blows full time. And how sweet it is. Steve Mortimer's face tells it all. New South Wales 21, Queensland 14. The Blues wrap up the State of Origin series for the first time. legacy of it all. Steve Mortimer being held aloft by his New South Wales Chargers. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Coach Terry Fernley. And congratulations to those maroon-jerseyed Queenslanders, because I'll tell you something, they have played magnificent football to make a real game of this for us. Those pictures tell the story. 21 to 14. 21 to 14. New South Wales have defeated Queensland.